As I walked into my classroom at the Head Start community, I was very skeptical and slightly annoyed. I kept wondering to myself what I was doing at 8:30 in the morning out in Christiansburg, and was convinced I'd be stuck babysitting kids for over 2 hours. As I entered the classroom, a swarm of kids ran up to me, inquiring who I was, if they could play with me, and strangely enough, if I would watch them eat breakfast. And right when I thought I was most overwhelmed, 2 kids came up to me yelling in Spanish. I could not have been more in over my head. Once I finally found a teacher, she quickly explained what the plan was for the day and told me to take a seat on the rug. Right when I sat down, 2 kids jumped on my lap and introduced themselves. One girl's name was Sophia, and although I didn't know it yet, she would become my little buddy over the next couple months. When the teacher sat down, she silenced the kids, brought out a storybook, and began to read. As she read, I looked around the room. While some kids were mesmerized by the story, others looked extremely confused. I later learned that those and most other kids come from low-income families and are taken to Head Start to develop their comprehension skills before entering primary school, since they have not yet reached the vocabulary development benchmark for their age. To help them learn, the teacher would pause after each page of the book and ask the kids simple questions, like what they think will happen next. These questions would stimulate the kids' thinking, making it easier for each child to understand the storyline. When story time was over, the kids were taught the concept of patterns, followed by an activity where they could draw on their own. I learned that every day, they would learn a new concept, like writing their name, and then practice it. After this activity, the kids were allotted free time, where they could play, draw, or read. And right when I thought I would have some alone time, 5 kids rushed up to me and pulled me in different directions, screaming about what they were going to do with their playtime. Once I finally calmed them down, and we all agreed to color, they would ask me to teach them how to write their names, or ask to read a story, or help them write letters in the alphabet. And then in the midst of kids yelling and me wanting to leave and go back to bed, it hit me that the kids were asking these questions because they looked up to me as an authoritative figure and expected me to teach them. I realized that while I was growing up, I relied on my mom and dad to prepare me for school. However, many of these children's parents lack either the time, education, or resources to help their kids excel. It was the first time since taking leadership that I actually felt like a leader, even if it was around a bunch of 5-year-olds. I always assumed that with this volunteering opportunity, I would just recall what forms of leadership I had learned first semester and try to apply them to volunteering. Instead, I acted as a leader without even knowing it, and executed a variety of forms of leadership, the most prominent being adaptive leadership. Over the next couple months, my goal was to work with the teachers and help the kids develop their comprehension level, while teaching them basic morals, like making friends is good, but throwing paint at someone else is bad. In the end, I felt truly blessed to have been a role model to these kids, and each ball of energy became my little buddy. I only hope to have impacted their lives as much as they impacted mine, and I look forward to the possibility of volunteering with them again next semester.